Mythic Plus has quickly become a cornerstone for World of Warcraft with its ability to allow people to tackle a wide range of content within each dungeon. With delusional bosses claiming they will be the one to finally end your reign of heroism, to their minions and followers looking for any possible way to impede your approach and put a stop to you once and for all, Mythic Plus can easily be one of the most exciting and rewarding aspects of a 15-year-old game. Join me for the next couple of hours as I lay the groundwork for what's to come in our Mythic Plus Workshop series. In this specific episode, the first of many, we review how to set yourself up for success before the dungeon even begins, where and how to find resources for your class, spec, and role, what to do once you're actually running a dungeon and the timer has started, what you should do when something inevitably goes wrong, and much, much more, including viewer questions that should resonate with nearly anyone who has ever stepped foot inside a Mythic Plus dungeon. My name is Brutal, and you are taking part in my Mythic Plus workshop. Hit the ready check. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first, but hopefully not the last, Mythic Plus workshop. My name is Brutal, or BrutallStatic. You can find me all over the internet, the Twitters, the Twitches, the YouTubes. You're probably watching this on Twitch or YouTube. Thank you for being here. What you see before you is an adorable, beautiful rogue. But you also see me. I am a long-time World of Warcraft player. I've been playing a variety of classes, specializations, roles from 2005 up until present day. I'm currently playing this rogue you see in front of me. And I'm actually playing this rogue because I recently stepped away from Mythic raiding and I've doubled down on Mythic Plus dungeons. My wife and I are expecting our second child in 1 month's time. And I decided, I don't want to lock myself into a raiding schedule. I'll just have some fun Mythic Plussing. PvE is PvE, right? No, and we're here to talk about that today. Today's stream, this recording, is all about Mythic Plus and workshopping it until it's something we can use and molding it until it's something we can recognize and just understanding what makes Mythic Plus work and what makes Mythic Plus, well, I can't say not work, but what can go wrong and what we can do to fix those problems, mentality, preparation, approach. There's so many topics. Now, I'm the kind of person, I have in front of me here a Word document with literally about 40 bullet points. Guaranteed, we're probably going to get through about 4. And that's fine. This is going to be a long-term thing. I'm very excited. We're just going to dive right in. One thing I want to preface, if you're watching this live on Twitch, I will do my absolute best to keep up with chat and to answer any questions that are asked. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will do my best to respond to comments in the comment section below. Let's get going. So, Mythic Plus dungeons, you probably know the history, right? Mythic Plus started a couple of years ago when Legion launched, and it's been the apple of Blizzard's PvE eye ever since. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of people enjoy them, there's a lot going on, there's just so much to do with Mythic Plus. You can be kind of casual in your approach, you can go in at your 2s, your 3s, your 4s, your 5s. You can do high-level Mythic Plus. Right now, at the beginning of Season 3, you have a lot of people pushing 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, some 19s. I myself gloriously failed a 19 last week. Took us like an hour and 20 minutes, but we got it done. And there are so many facets and layers and options with Mythic Plussing. And everyone approaches Mythic Plus differently. And today we're going to delve and dive into how I think, and this is mostly an opinion piece, keep that in mind, how I think Mythic Plussing can be enjoyable, but how you can also be ready for it, how you get ready for it. So let's get going. Mythic Plus. How do you set yourself up for success in a Mythic Plus dungeon before it even begins? There are so many people that have the opportunity to hear this and listen and tune in and kind of process what I'm saying. If you're listening to what I'm saying, whether you're live or whether you're watching on YouTube or whatever, you might have been running 2s and 4s and 6s for the past 2.5 years. You may be running Mythic 20s, in Season 2 here in BFA. and soon in Season 3 when we get a little bit more gear. You could be a Raider.io score of 3,000, 3,500, which is more than me. I'm currently 2,600, or I was 2,600 in Season 2. You may be a Raider.io score of 200. You may not even know what Raider.io is. Don't worry, we will get to that. My point is, and why I'm rambling about this thing, is the fact that there's no one-size-fit-all solution to Mythic plussing. Every single dungeon is different. Every group composition is different. Each week there are different affixes, and now, with the new Season 3 affix of Beguiling, the NPCs that are associated with Beguiling, your Void-Touched Emissary, your Enchanted Emissary, and your Emissary of the Tides, and we'll get to those later too, I promise, those are in different positions each week as well. It's wild. Mythic Plus has never been more dynamic than it is today. Some people like that, some people not so much. But we're going to focus on what we can do as players to increase our level of success and to zone in and get going with a better mindset and a better understanding of how to be successful. There's almost nothing more frustrating when it comes to Mythic Plus dungeons than when you form a group, you zone in, you throw a feast down, you pop a flask, you get going, and the tank doesn't know what path to take. He doesn't know how to position or tank a boss or a pack of trash. The healer's AFK, bursting's going out, bolstering's popping on NPCs, quaking's interrupting the DPS. The DPS is terrible. Oh my goodness. When people don't know how to properly handle the affixes and mechanics in a dungeon, it drives me insane. And I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone out there, people. There are so many individuals who want nothing more than when they start a Mythic Plus to simply succeed, to time the dungeon, whether by a second or a minute or an hour, it doesn't matter. No one likes failing. And if you do, well, I don't have any words for you. You're just weird. So how do you set yourself up for success in a Mythic Plus dungeon? Preparation is key. Now, some of this stuff may be, I don't like to use this word, but I'll use it anyway, common sense. But again, I'm trying to speak and I'm trying to explain and lay a foundation of the basics, the fundamentals. So even if you were already practicing all of these habits and whatnot, even if you're already coming in prepared in the way that I'm about to describe and explain, that's okay, because not everyone is. This first workshop, the basics, this laying of the foundation, may not specifically speak to you, but I can guarantee you there are people out there who are going to think to themselves, I never thought of that before. And that's a good thing, because not everyone is at a Raider.io score of 2,600. Just like I'm not 3,000 or 3,500. I hope to be one day. I'd like to be that good. I think I can be that good. But it all starts at the fundamental level, the basics. Let's lay that foundation. So how do you prepare for a Mythic Plus dungeon run? Oh man, there's a lot to talk about here, people. From consumables to add-ons, voice communications to setting aside time to run the dungeon. I mean, how many, show of hands, everyone, how many people have started the dungeon run and within 15, 20 minutes, someone pieces out saying, I didn't expect this to take so long. I gotta take my dog to the groomer. It's just no one likes when a Mythic Plus dungeon fails for any reason. But oh man, it is beyond aggravating when someone pieces out. It's awful. So I'm gonna start with something that we've all heard of and something that we've all probably used in the past. And by the way, there's no particular order to what I'm explaining. And again, feel free to ask questions in chat. If I see something and it's relevant, I will happily integrate it into our conversation. But we're going to talk right now about consumables. Yeah, we could talk about affixes and we could talk about, this particular NPC in a Tall Desert does this ability and it always wipes my group. I want to talk about that. Don't worry. We'll get to as many things as we can, I promise. But right now, in terms of preparation for Mythic Plussing, I want to talk about consumables. What are consumables? Flasks, potions, health potions, invisibility potions, food. I mean, there are a lot of items that fall under the umbrella, the category of consumables. Why are consumables important? because they simply help you perform better. I mean, way back in the day, classic era, you used to be able to stack elixirs and flasks, and you'd have 50 million things that you'd have to farm and use in the middle of a boss fight or a dungeon or whatever, just to have a fighting chance of killing something. Nowadays, it's a lot more simple. Generally, you bring a flask. You can have a personalized and individual food buff. You can lay down a feast. The new ones are super expensive, so feel free to use your old sanguinated feasts or whatever makes you happy. There's even something called a fish feast, which is really helpful. And I'll touch on that briefly here, but we can delve into it a little bit later. But a fish feast, when you throw it down, it gives you just a modicum of versatility. And versatility may be a terrible stat for you, but the beautiful thing is, it takes you a split second to get that versatility buff. And again, it's small. The real benefit is it gives you 10% mana and health every second. It's incredible. It's a very quick and easy way to heal up after a wipe or after a death run. What the heck's a death run? We'll get to that, don't worry. But there are so many consumables for each class and specialization and role. Every single one of them contributes to your success. Now, at the higher level keystones, which you may be uncomfortable running right now, that's totally fine. At the higher level keystones, you will see players constantly popping their potions. When I'm running, back in Season 2, when I was running Mythic 20s and Mythic 21s, which again, I know there are people who do higher than that. I'm not here to pretend or to lie to you guys that I'm doing 25s. And no. I have things to learn. We all do. I want to make that very clear. But when I was running my 20s and 21s, there were dungeons when the timer was tight or when, the affixes were really difficult, or just because I wanted to do the best that I possibly could, man, I would be popping potions almost on cooldown. Because that's just more, in my case, agility, which equates to more damage, and it's a great thing. Do you need to do that in a Mythic 2, a 4, a 6, a 10? Probably not. But having potions to use for those very difficult pulls, those tyrannical bosses, if you're not using potions as a DPS class, you're probably hurting yourself and your group more than you realize. And by the way, I'm going to be speaking today mostly from a DPS perspective. I played Warlock through all of Legion and the first half of BFA. I'm currently playing my Rogue, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. I played tank way back in the day. I used to tank for my guild, Static, on my Prot Warrior and then my Brewmaster Monk. I'm not very accomplished on my tank. I also have Arrested Druid or my healer in Mythic Plus. In Season 3, I'm running 10s, 11, 12s on my tank and on my healer, so I have some perspective, and I will touch on that. But I just wanted to clarify that this is mostly from a a Rogue PvE Mythic Plus perspective, a DPS perspective. If you have questions about tanking and healing, I might be able to touch on them or direct you to an area that has a better explanation. Nevertheless. So potions, your flasks, your food, having increased stats, just in a general sense, makes things easier. You're able to kill NPCs faster. You're able to survive hits better. You're able to do more, not with less, but you're able to do more, right? So if you're not using consumables, if you have an alt, maybe you yourself are an alchemist, but you can have an alt as an alchemist. You could be an alchemist yourself. There are players in your guild, players in your server, your auction house. There are many ways to grind, to gather, to create consumables. And every class, every specialization is different. There are actually brand new potions that have just been introduced with Season 3, patch 8.2. I'm not going to go into what every class and specialization should use. You need to, and this is something we'll touch on later as well, you'll need to get into the habit of checking your class Discord, potentially websites like WOWHEAD and whatnot, to see what the experts are recommending on a case-by-case basis. As a rogue, I could use an agility potion. Maybe I should use one of the newer potions. I'm not even sure what they're called off the top of my head right now. There's a time and a place and a reason for everything, so researching and understanding is key. You'll find a variety of links below the YouTube channel, or the YouTube video, by the way, so feel free to check those out. I'll try to link, class Discords and class pages on WOWHEAD to make everything a little bit easier for you to find. I know I might sound a little bit like a broken record, but we're laying the foundation. I'm trying to approach this with the mindset of what if someone finds this stream, or what if someone finds this video on YouTube and they've been too afraid or too timid or too whatever to jump into a Mythic Plus because they don't have the experience, the understanding, the whatever. I want to make sure that you have that opportunity, that I'm explaining things in a manner, in a way that helps those people and beyond. So consumables, we've talked about that. You can find specific information in these areas I've mentioned, Discord, WOWHEAD, etc. I cannot and I will not go over everything in terms of consumables because every class and specialization, every role is different. Rogue, agility, outlaw rogue, versatility, crit, woo! So find what works for you. Dig in, talk to people, research, practice. That's all very important. What's next? Oh boy. Again, this is in no particular order. We're going to talk about something very near and dear to my heart, and it's called Method Dungeon Tools. MDT for short. What in the world is MDT, you ask? Ladies and gentlemen, this is genuinely one of the greatest add-ons that has ever been created. Sadly, it has not been updated for Season 3. I'll explain a little bit why in a moment. Let's talk about MDT. This has been incredibly helpful for the past season and a half. I can't remember exactly when it came into... Oh, wait, no, it didn't come out in Legion? Doesn't matter. This has been incredibly helpful for BFA, and I think it came out at the end of Legion. MDT, for all intents and purposes, you'll see that I have Shrine of the Storm pulled up now. MDT quite literally places every NPC pack, every boss, everything on the map you can zoom in, click on, interact with. It's incredible. The purpose of MDT is to allow people to see what they can pull to accumulate the 100% enemy force count. Again, by right-clicking on an NPC, you can see the casts that they have, the tooltip associated with the cast. You can see what they are affected by. Let's take just a moment, okay? Let's say the very beginning of Shrine of the Storm, you decide to pull a pack of 6 Tide Sage Initiates and a Shrine Templar. Well, Tide Sage Initiates, you know when things come in a pack of 6, generally they're meant to be AoE'd down. If you didn't know that, congratulations, you now know. These bad boys, they basically just melee the tank. They're just cannon fodder. They're just there to give you a little bit of enemy force count. A big bad 0.76 according to MDT. Not even 1% worth of enemy force count, whatever. But let's talk about this Shrine Templar. Let's say you zone in, you pull the pack of 6, you pull the Shrine Templar. What in the world does a Shrine Templar do? Oh my goodness. Well, they have 3 abilities, it looks like. Tidal Surge, Protective Aura, and Heaving Blow. They are affected by a variety of spells. Silences, disorientations, fears, and taunts and whatnot. Incredible. The beautiful thing about this is again, we're talking about how to prepare for a dungeon. Before you even start the dungeon, as the tank, as the whatever, you can come in here and you can right-click on each NPC and review what they do. Now, thankfully, after a couple of runs, most people become pretty comfortable and pretty familiar with what things do. Also, again, a little common sense goes a long way. You see something called a spiritualist, and in the world of Warcraft, when you're talking about menders and spiritualists and so on and so forth, you can expect some level of healing from them, so you know they're probably going to have a healing spell. It can be interrupted, blah, blah, blah. But what's beautiful is you can go in here and you can see what each NPC does. It's absolutely magnificent. And it gives you a chance to understand the basics, the foundation of what each dungeon presents. Now, understanding casts and how you can interact with those casts and those NPCs is great. Putting that research into practice takes work, takes time. And that's where a lot of people start slipping and falling and failing, is they don't have the patience, they don't take the time to fail. And this is something that's true for life as a whole, but failure is the great teacher, right? We've all failed in our lives from time to time, at work, at school, relationships, Mythic Plus dungeons. Oh my goodness, man, I run Mythic Plus dungeons almost every day, and I can guarantee you I make an innumerable amount of mistakes every single time I start in between starting and finishing a dungeon. No one plays perfectly, folks. If they did, Method would already be 8 out of 8. Mythic, Eternal Palace, Queen Azshara would have been dead 3 or 4 days ago. No one plays perfectly. You're going to make mistakes, period. It's about not only trying to restrict and prevent those mistakes, but when they occur, because they will occur, learning from them, understanding them, analyzing them. Fancy words for a video game, right? But it's true. Practice, practice, practice. Something that I did at the beginning of BFA and something I still do from time to time, especially at high level keys, those 20s, those 21s, the failed 22s that I've done, zoning into a Mythic 0 and seeing if a particular pull or a particular type of CC or whatever the case may be, if that's possible, can we do this? Can this NPC be moved to this location and CC'd in this manner to allow us to do something 5 feet away? That's a silly example, but practice, practice, practice. A minute ago, I mentioned how aggravating is it when someone leaves the group. Far too often, people leave a Mythic Plus group when something goes wrong, when in reality, it's far better to stick with it, even if you don't finish the dungeon, to stick with something, just to learn how to not make that mistake again and again and again. Failure is the great teacher. So Method Dungeon Tools is a magnificent option. It's an add-on. You can go to CurseForge. You can use the Twitch app. You can Google it. Literally Google Method Dungeon Tools. It'll be the first thing that pops up. You can download that bad boy, throw it into your interface add-on folder, and you can get going. You type /MDT in game. Let me go over some other options here in the actual add-on. There is a WOWHEAD. I'll try to remember to link it below in the YouTube video. There's a WOWHEAD page about MDT. It explains things wonderfully. But essentially, again, it has not been updated for Season 3. You can still see Reaping here on the affix dropdown. We're hoping it gets updated soon. I mentioned a moment ago, one of the reasons why it has not been updated is because of the Season 3 affix is so different than Season 1 or Season 2. Every week, the emissaries that are present for Mythic Plus are in different locations. It's wild. It's absolutely crazy. So 1 week you might have a void touched here. Again, I'm making this up. I have no idea if this will be true. I'm just giving you an example. Maybe there's going to be a void touched by your temple attendants 1 week. The next week, there's no emissary there. The following week, there's an enchanted emissary there. And it's got to be unbelievably frustrating and difficult for the MDT team to kind of understand how to represent that, how to display that. I do not envy them. But if they can figure this out, and I'm hoping they can, this add-on is such a boon to every Mythic Plus player's experience. It's wonderful. In any case, you can see here the affixes. When your week's when the current week's affix is live, it'll actually be colored. It'll be green. I believe there's a green highlight or the number's green. I can't remember. You can see it's not displayed that way right now because these are old affixes. Every time you click new, you create a new page to click and figure out and whatnot. Ooh, hold on. Boop. It's broken. I think I broke it. This is not. Oh, no, I've broken it. This is terrible. Again, the add-on needs to be updated, so... But you can set the level of the run all the way up to Mythic 35. That's great. That's what we want. We can go back to the 8th. Let me show you what I did. There's a drop down here. You can see... Oh, yeah. We haven't even touched on this yet. You can see how many different versions of a dungeon you have. We can actually switch. Let's go to Vital. You can see here. There are other ones that I have from previous weeks and whatnot. This is beautiful. So you can always create a new one. You can delete old ones. It's absolutely wonderful. Now you may be asking yourself, Brutal, what's all this? What's all this stuff on the screen here? Well, this is actually a really good moment to plug a specific website, and we've talked about this website already, and I talk about it regularly on my stream. It is Raider.io, ladies and gentlemen. Raider.io. Right now, they're tracking the race to world first. Good luck to everyone. Woo. I think 4 as of today's recording. Oh, it looks like 5. 5 guilds are now 6 out of 8. Oh, wait, no, 6. 6 guilds are now 6 out of 8. Congratulations. Good luck and Godspeed to all of our players out there. But we're not here to talk about the race of the world first. I'm actually going to go here to the news section. And today we're going to click on something by a rogue player, Dratinus. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What we're actually going to do is we're going to scroll down and you're going to see this. It's called the weekly routes. Again, this is on Raider.io, the news section. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see this player for quite a while now. He has been in the habit of uploading very, basic, general, or even to some degree advanced routes for every Mythic Plus dungeon every week. It's beautiful. Now, again, you'll see that Reaping is still listed. Method Dungeon Tools has not been updated for Season 3. I hope I've made that clear. But the beautiful thing is, MDT allows you to draw and highlight and color and route things to your liking in each dungeon. And this player has established routes for every single dungeon, every single week. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you want to run Freehold as an example, you can come and you can, I'll click this. I'm going to copy the string from Method Dungeon Tools. And then I'm going to, where'd my game go? There it is. And then I'm going to import, and I simply paste it. And look at that, boom. I now have that route in Method Dungeon Tools. The beauty about Method Dungeon Tools is you can lay things out however you want. It's all about preparation, boys. Oh, there we go. Better. Thanks, Raikou. Raikou said, Brutal, check your screen. Thanks, my man. So, Method Dungeon Tools, we've talked about that long enough. We've talked about consumables. Let's talk about something that a lot of people are somewhat uncomfortable with when it comes to video gaming as a whole. Voice communications. The voice comms. Your old school Ventrilos and your old school TeamSpeaks and so on and so forth. But nowadays, oftentimes you hear people requesting that you jump into a program called Discord. I'd be surprised if anyone out there has never heard of Discord. My goodness, people. Come on. It's 2019. Discord. What the heck is Discord? It is a program that allows you to have text channels and voice channels for your guild, your community, your group of friends, your grandma, whoever you want to have in a Discord channel. You can do that. And Discord in and of itself is a magnificent program with a great team that updates it frequently and keeps it relevant and keeps it fresh. But Discord is generally where you will be asked to join in and to interact with players in your group. So when you join a Discord channel, you can hear the people in your group, you can speak with the people in your group, and communication is what I'm getting at. In terms of preparation for Mythic Plus, communicating is up there at the top of the list, man. I know, you probably understand that. I'm probably preaching to the choir here. I get it. But communication, baby. I guess I should get rid of MDT, right? Okay. Discord. Hearing people and speaking with people is unbelievably paramount to your level of success and your chance at timing a dungeon correctly. Now, is there that much to talk about in a Mythic 2 compared to a Mythic 0? Generally, no. The only affix that's live at a Mythic 2 or Mythic 3 level is your Tyrannical or your Fortified. Tyrannical buffs the bosses, Fortified buffs the trash. Simple, right? Trash will hit harder, have more HP with Fortified. Bosses hit harder, have more HP with Tyrannical. Not much changes at your Mythic 2, your Mythic 3 level. Your Mythic 4 level introduces another affix on top of that. This week, I believe it's Raging. So when mobs hit, I believe it's 30% health, their damage is increased. They grow in size. You can see them. Druids can soothe. There are ways to counteract that affix. But your tank will start taking more damage. Dangerous. You got to be careful. And so on and so forth, right? Well, when these affixes are changing each week, and your Mythic 10s and above, when your Beguiling affix is coming in, and Void-touched emissaries are in different places, In your inventory, the tides are in different places. And you have a rogue for this one dungeon. But then you have a stinking shaman for the next dungeon, so you don't have as much utility. Although, to be fair, shamans really do have a great toolkit for Mythic Plus. I'm only poking fun. Then you have a hunter for one group, and then a mage for the next group. Every single time you run a dungeon, and every week that when the affixes change, something is different and something has to change with your approach. That's just the way the Mythic Plus works. And that's kind of the beauty, that's the fun of Mythic Plus too, is there's always something new to tackle, always a new solution that needs to be found for a problem, whatever the case may be. Let's get back to what I was talking about, Discord. Why is Discord important? Why is listening and speaking with people and having a conversation important? Because dagnabbit, it's not 1999, and I'm not playing EverQuest anymore. Way back when, in the the EverQuest era, I played a bard, and God forbid I was trying to twist songs and raid lead with shouts and warnings and everything. It was a mess. Along comes Ventrilo, and heck, I don't even think was Ventrilo the first thing I even used. I don't even remember. It's been 20 years. Forgive me. But nowadays, it's as simple as jumping into a channel with 4 other players who want to succeed at what you're doing. Again, I feel like, I'm gonna tangent, I'm sorry. I feel like so often in a Mythic Plus setting, you have 5 people that show up to a dungeon. Someone tosses their key into the little monolith, the little thing that starts the dungeon. You start the dungeon, a pull goes wrong, a tank does something stupid, a DPS pulls an extra pack of trash, a healer goes AFK DCs, comes right back on, everyone's dead, everyone gets frustrated and angry, they start yelling at each other, and boom, the group breaks up, Keystone's dead. What the heck happened? It's absolutely insane to me that we as players agree to form a group and we agree to tackle a piece of content, and at the first sign of opposition, everyone loses their mind. They drop their stinking, they drop all the pretense, and they just start yelling and screaming and getting aggravated at each other, and then the group breaks up, and it was a waste of time, and everyone's frustrated. It's just, it's insane to me. And Discord is one of the easiest ways to kind of alleviate that strain, to take your foot a little bit off the pedal, a little bit off of the, what am I, something's going wrong, I'm leaving. Like, just relax. Being able to hear the tone of someone's voice, being able to say in the moment, hey, I'm going to interrupt that NPC over there. I got that interrupt. I got the interrupt. Don't worry. Like, being able to communicate, I'm going to blind that. I'm going to sap this. We're shrouding here. I'm going to stun that. I'm going to blade, not that I say when I blade flare, I'm just giving you examples, but when you can communicate what in the world is going on, it makes a world of difference. But so often people are so opposed, and I've been guilty of it too. People are so opposed to assisting one another and helping one another with something as simple as communicating. Oh my goodness, it drives me insane. Yesterday, oh man, I have a perfect example. Yesterday, I had a viewer, a longtime friend. I used to raid with them. Poor little shaman, my buddy Arctos. Arctos is like, hey, Brutal, will you help run me through a Toll to Gore? I'm a stinking shaman and I need all the help I can get. And I said, yes, sir, Arctos. My little buddy, I will happily run you through that Toll to Gore 15. Let's go. And we didn't have a friendly tank online, so we had to pug a tank. And wouldn't you know it, the tank, when he pulls the Sand Queen, the first boss in Toll to Gore, I'll pull it up in MDT. Hold on. Where's Toll to Gore? There it is. He pulls the Sand Queen, and he dies. I think he died from stepping on a sand trap, the thing that knocks you up, and it was a mess. But he dies to a sand trap, and then he's like, oh, I don't know what went wrong. Something terrible. And we were in Discord. And so what I said to him was, and it was good, we were in Discord, and what I said to him was, hey, oftentimes people find it easier, and what I did is I put 4 world markers. I put here, I think I can even do this. Watch this. Watch this. Let me do a little drop down here. Little drop down. Let me find my thing. Hold on. Stand by. Wait, nope, that's the brush. Whatever. We're going to do brush size. I don't even care. So I think there's actually a way to showcase the... I swear there is. I can put world markers in this. I know I can, but now I can't see where the option is. It doesn't matter. But I would put a world marker here. Put a world marker here. Put a world marker here. And I put a world marker here. And I said, oftentimes, groups find it easy to start at a marker, and then when sand traps, and all 5 members will be at a location, and when the sand traps drop, they move to the next area. And when sand traps drop here, they move to the next area. And by the time they get back around to this first location, I just popped Blade Flurry. This first location, the sand traps have dissipated, the area is safe again. That way, otherwise, oh my goodness, man. How often oh, look at this. Hold on. Clear all drawings. Unbelievable. There it is. How often on this boss in a Mythic Plus dungeon, you see, you know, all 5 players stand out in the middle of nowhere, and, you know, there's a sand trap here. Oh, hold on. Yes, I want that. Give me that free end. There's a sand trap here, and here, and here, and here, and one here. And then the next round of sand traps are here, and here, and here, and here, and here. The next round of sand traps are here and here. And then someone hits this group, and then the healer hits this group, and it's a mess, right? And sure, you can do it that way. Nothing. If you're comfortable, you can do it that way. But in Discord, you can do things such as, hey, anchor here, then move here, then move here, move here, rinse and repeat, go in the clockwise rotation, it'll be easier, blah, blah, blah. Did the tank do that? No, he didn't heed my example. He didn't care. He didn't believe me. It was frustrating, so he left. Then we bring in another tank, and now we're doing a Totagor 14. And wouldn't you know it, the same thing happens. Well, sorry guys, I don't think I can tank this. I'm taking too much damage. No, you're not taking too much damage. You're hitting sand traps because you don't know how to tank the boss. Sorry, I'm getting a little animated here. Nevertheless, in all seriousness, being in Discord helps alleviate those issues. Do they solve the issue of people being stubborn? No, sadly, they don't. And trust me, I have stubborn streaks just like we all do. But it helps. All of these things that I'm listing assist in your ability to do something just a little bit better. You clear dungeons a little bit more safely, a little bit faster, with a little bit more understanding. They all come together. And by the way, this is not a complete list, you know, for the sake of time and, you know, just due to the fact that I'm just one guy talking about my personal experiences. I can guarantee you there are 15 million things I'm not even talking about, that I'm not even touching on, that you guys have understanding of, that you guys have experience with, that are relevant to your experience within Mythic Plus. Just so everyone knows. Let's move on to the next topic. We've already talked about consumables. We've talked about the method dungeon tools. We've now talked about Discord. Let's talk about time, ladies and gentlemen. Allotted time. What in the world does that even mean? Allotted time, it's a Mythic Plus dungeon. 30 minutes, bada bing, bada boom, we're done. About, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, 20, 50, 30, 70 minutes ago when I started this thing, I asked if anyone, by show of hands, had ever encountered someone in their Mythic Plus group that left before the dungeon concluded, not because it was going terribly, not because they were being yelled at, but because their dog was on fire, their grandma had baked a cake, they were hungry, whatever the case may be. It's happened to all of us. Every single one of us, man. Every single person that's listening to this, I guarantee you've had someone leave your Mythic Plus group because they didn't have enough time to finish it. Or they just went AFK. Like, healer's back at the second boss, where we've now cleared to the third boss. Where's the healer? What's going on? So, carving out an appropriate amount of time for a Mythic Plus is paramount. This one's super self-explanatory, okay? If you're going to be successful at a Mythic Plus dungeon, you're getting in Discord with the other 4 players, you've routed out the path and method dungeon tools, you've got your consumables. If it's 4 a.m. and you have to wake up and go to work at 7 a.m., what are you doing, man? Have a little self-control, please. Find the time to run your dungeons. Set aside that time. Carve out the time. Listen, I've got a toddler that loves to run in and pull my beard and jump, you know, in my chair, and he sits behind me when he's in my chair, and he bounces and slaps and bangs his head against me. And then he's pulling at my sleeve. Dad, come play. Dad, come play. And it's like, I am playing. I'm playing WoW, dagnabbit. We all have distractions. Work, school, family, friends, priorities, obligations. We all have those things. If you're going to request a commitment and the time, the energy and the effort of 4 other people, make sure you, as the 5th person, you like that? I'll do that again. Watch, you ready? You, as the 5th person, have the time to finish the run. We're all guilty. Emergencies happen. I get it. It's no big deal. Like, I can't even remember the last time something like this occurred, but it has occurred. It's frustrating. It's easily avoided. Carve out the time. Do what you gotta do. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people in your group. Have fun. Make sure you got the time. All right? Let's move on to the next point. That was an easy one. That was a freebie. You're welcome. By the way, shout out to Drethen, to Nexus Live, to The Insane Dane for the subs. You'll probably notice I have alerts off. I didn't want to be super distracted or anything like that. I really appreciate you guys resubbing. Thanks for being here. This is a great time for a little sip of water. Excuse me. Delicious. Don't worry, I muted the mic. No one. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, I lost word. Oh no, my notes are gone. My notes are gone for real. Hold on, I gotta open it back up. You didn't see anything. We'll edit this out. No, we won't. That's too much work. We're not gonna edit anything. That's way too much work. All right, we're back. I got my bullet points back up. This is the last little bullet point I have in terms of preparation. And again, this is not an all-encompassing list. I get it. I probably haven't touched on something you wanted to hear about. That's what Twitch chat, that's what YouTube comments are for. Bring up your questions and concerns. We'll tackle them as they arrive. Understanding affixes. Leading up to this workshop, I had a Google document, a Google form, and people were able to submit questions. They were able to let me know a variety of things, where they think the failings of Mythic Plus occurred, what they thought people struggled the most with, etc. And understanding affixes, top of the list, baby. Affixes are what make Mythic Plus Mythic Plus. Affixes influence and change the dynamics of the dungeon each and every week. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is an announcement. Apparently, Limit is now 7 out of 8 in Mythic Eternal Palace. I know this has nothing to do with Mythic Plussing in this workshop, but right now, I have been informed by my eye in the sky, I'm not Druish, that Limit, the North American Horde Guild Limit, is now 7 out of 8 Mythic in the Eternal Palace. That is all. Understanding affixes. Oh my goodness. How many... how many times have you been in the group and someone with quaking stands on top of you? Or you've been in the group and someone who's a little trigger happy decides to murder a pack of 12 NPCs with bursting. And in a lickety-split, in typical fashion, everyone goes splat. And then the healer leaves and everyone's upset. He's dead. How many times have you been in the dungeon and people are killing bolstering NPCs one at a time? For the love of God. Holy crap, man. Understanding affixes is so daggum important to understanding Mythic Plus, right? If you do not know what an affix does, for the love of Peter, WOWHEAD it. Google it. Ask questions. You're in Discord with people. It is so vital, your understanding of how to do a Mythic Plus, how to clear it, how to counter these affixes, and so on and so forth. You have your burstings, you have your bolsterings, you have your quakings, you have your necrotics and your reapings. There are a dozen or so different affixes. They all do different things. Each week, they're combined differently. We generally know what the next week's combination is, so you can kind of understand what's to come. You've probably heard in the past there are easy weeks, there are tough weeks based on the affixes themselves. You'll see people. there was a week back in season 2 when my score went up about 600 points because it was a quote unquote easy week. And it's true. Some weeks are simply easier to push high level keys. But right now, we really need to hone in and dig deep with the beguiling affix from season 3. Now, Me, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to pull up information, little info of the Season 3 Mythic Plus affix known as Beguiling. In Battle for Azeroth, Blizzard has added a 4th affix at level with the Season 3 affix being... I don't know. That sentence doesn't make any sense. I'm not really sure what that means. The point is, Beguiling. It has replaced Reaping, and Reaping was what replaced Infested. What the heck is Beguiling? To put it plainly, to put it simply, it's the introduction of 3 different types of emissaries in each zone at level 10 and above. You have your Enchanted. Again, to put it simply, when an enchanted emissary is found, each attack will knock the emissary back. If any packs of trash, if any NPCs are under that beautiful little dome right there, 150% of the damage that you're dealing out is reflected back to you. After about 20 seconds, her energy bar is depleted and she disappears. Easy way to counter this is have your healer or have someone just shooting, stinking wraths or arrows as a hunter or, smites as a priest or whatever you got. Keep it knocked back. Tank and DPS deal with everything that she was encompassing. It's easy. Emissary of the Tides. This thing's frustrating. This thing you have to kill. You can root this bad boy. I think it's for like 6 or 7 seconds at a time. However, any NPCs around her are immune to all forms of CC. You can't interrupt, silence, disorient, stun, daze, etc. You can't do a dang thing. So typically speaking, murdering the Emissary of the Tides is paramount. It is crucial. It is critical. Do it immediately in most cases. And last but not least, your Void Touched Emissary. This bad boy, this NPC, saying bad girl, that's a little awkward. But this bad boy right here was actually nerfed recently. And originally, it was incredibly difficult to deal with. After about half a minute or so, it got to a point to where every pulse she did would literally just eradicate the group, and then she would be super buffed, and then you'd have to figure out how to... No, that doesn't exist anymore. Now, essentially what you do is for... I think it's I can't remember. What's the cast time? 10 seconds? You think I'd know this, right? There's a fairly lengthy cast time from this NPC. When the cast concludes, an explosion goes off, you're hit for a massive amount of shadow damage, you get a debuff. The second time it goes off, if your first debuff is still there, you now have 2 debuffs and you're being hit for even more damage. Third cast, you're basically dead. Most people, what they'll do is she's stationary, so you immediately begin to attack her. For first cast, you can either line of sight, or if you have, the ability to survive it, you can take the hit. Second cast, you either want to immune it as a rogue. I use Cloak of Shadows. Makes me invulnerable for a brief period of time. That way I drop the stack. I don't get a second stack. I take no damage. It's awesome. You can line of sight that second cast. Third cast, she's usually dead. I mean, she's actually usually dead by the second cast in most cases. But with the Void Touched Emissary, that's all you have to do. Just murder her before she murders you. But Beguiling is a very different experience than Reaping. Reaping, it was literally just, hey, let's go to 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%, and we're going to kill a pack of trash every time it spawns. Big whoop. It was very easy, very straightforward. Beguiling takes a little bit more understanding, takes a little bit more work. They each interact differently. And as I've already referenced, every week, they're in different positions. It's wild, man. One week, you may encounter a pack of trash with no emissary at all. The next week, there might be a Void Touched Emissary. The week after that, it might be an Enchanted Emissary. The week after that, nothing. It just depends. Blizzard has set it up to where every week there's something different you have to tackle. So if you're going to be running Mythic 10s and beyond, your understanding of how to deal with emissaries, again, is crucial. You're knocking your enchanteds back, you're burning or rooting, or you're doing something with your emissary of the tides. You're burning, you're line of sighting, you're immuning, your Void Touched emissaries. They do different things depending upon where they are, what they are, and how they are. And learning how to deal with those is incredibly important. So there you have it. Preparation for Mythic Plus. That's just a really long way of explaining, hey, I need to know what the heck's going on before I zone in. Now, of course, real quick, I think it needs to be mentioned that understanding the dungeons, the affixes, having method dungeon tools, all of these things are great. But if you don't know how to play your class, your specialization, your role, then what the heck are you doing, man? Knowing your class and specialization should be, you know, PvE 101. Heck, it should be, how do I play World of Warcraft 101? And far too often, I see people, we're going to touch on this in a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead here a little bit, but I'm just going to go and do it. But far too often, I see people that are not interrupting, that are not using a variety of CCs, your slows, your knockbacks, etc. I see people that, you know, have the potential to do massive amounts of AoE that don't, and massive amounts of single target that don't. And they have the ability to immune attacks or to mitigate damage from attacks, and they don't. So understanding your class and specialization should, I mean, quite frankly, should be the very first thing you do. I probably should have started this workshop with, hey, learn to play. Because there are tools out there, there are areas out there. Here, I'll pull up something else for you. This is the front page of WOWHEAD, ladies and gentlemen. Front page, you go to wowhead.com. This is more or less what you're going to see. As a rogue, I can quite literally click on this right here. In fact, I haven't even clicked on it. I'm just hovering over it. And I have more information and more data available to me than I or we have ever had in the history of the game. I could click on a simple outlaw guide that was written by a gentleman or a man or a woman, I have no idea, written by a player. I can scroll down and I have other links to other areas of the class, of the specialization. I can see recommended talents. I can see, you know, your basic rotation, your cooldowns, your finishers, your builders as a rogue, stat priority, what I should be enchanting my weapons and stuff with. I mean, there are Azerite armor. Oh my goodness. This is free to use. It's free information. It's relevant and updated. And sure, it may not be applicable to every situation. Maybe, you know, something is not, you know, something that's on this page is not relevant to a Mythic plus 25 run. But guess what? If you're running Mythic plus 25s, you probably know this and you're not researching it on WOWHEAD anyway. You probably made your own stinking stat weights and this and that and the other because you're playing at a level far beyond the average player. But for the average player coming to WOWHEAD, going to your class Discord server, talking to other people in your guild, your community, the game as a whole that play your same class and specialization, this is stuff that is super relevant and super important. And practicing your class rotation and cooldown management and getting into dungeons and understanding, hey, we are 3.5 minutes away from pulling the boss. I have a 2-minute DPS cooldown. Should I use that ability to help clear trash more faster and to make the entire situation a little bit safer for everyone? Probably. It just far too often people sit on their cooldowns and they don't interrupt or stun or whatever, and it costs groups dearly. It lengthens the time you're in the dungeon, but more than that, the longer you're in combat with something, I don't care if it's trash, a boss, or whatever, the longer you're in combat, the more opportunity for mistakes to arise. And you've heard this, you know, in raids probably your entire life. Oh, why are we feeding the DPS gear? I'm a healer, I need gear. Well, yeah, sure, everyone needs gear, but if you can get a boss killed, let's use a Mythic Plus example. If you can kill Resin or Redizon in 90 seconds or 3 minutes, what? I mean, duh. I mean, why would you want to lengthen the time of combat, to lengthen, you know, the opportunity to extend or to increase the chance of something happening? Someone gets eaten, more raptors spawn, you know, have to line of sight more. I mean, it's frustrating, right? So yes, the better you play your class and specialization, of course, the better your dungeon runs are gonna go. It's common sense. So using a website like WOWHEAD, using something like your class Discord server, oh my goodness, man, it's a no-brainer. You can check your rotation, your priority. You can check brand new essences with patch 8.2. Wait, I don't think I clicked on that, sorry. I mean, oh my goodness, man. And this is again, this is a great starting point. You can see here your essence of focusing iris does a ton of damage in a multi-target setting. You can see your condensed life force does a great amount of damage in a single target setting. Does that mean you should absolutely be condensed life forcing on tyrannical weeks? No. Does that mean you should absolutely be essence of the focusing iris in every situation, in every dungeon, blah, blah, blah? No. Although right now that's what I play. But nevertheless, my point being, the more you understand and the more research you do, the better off that not only the better off you will be, but the better your dungeon runs will go. So practice makes, not perfect, but practice makes things practical. Understanding the nuances and the ins and outs of your class and your specialization. Why do I want to not use Roll the Bones during Blade Flurry? Well, what the heck, man? How much damage is Roll the Bones doing when you use it? None. Does it enhance your damage? Yes. Do you want to have a good Roll the Bones as an outlaw rogue before you pop Blade Flurry? Yes. But using Roll the Bones during a Blade Flurry simply lowers your overall damage. Is it about being number one in the DPS meters? Yes. I mean, no, of course not. It's nice, but it's not about being the best. It's not about being number one. It's about helping your group do what needs to be done to get in and out of that dungeon in as seamless of a fashion as possible. So practice, practice, practice. Know your class. Go to your class Discord. Go to WOWHEAD. I should be able to remember at this point in time to put those links in the description of the YouTube video below. It's super duper important. That being said, thanks. That was a lot of fun talking about the preparation for Mythic Plus. How the heck does all that preparation actually help you? Like, you know, how do you apply that preparation when you're actually in the dungeon? How can you be successful in the dungeon while it's unfolding? Oh boy, here we go. So in-game tools make a difference, folks. You've learned your class and specialization. You know what the heck you're supposed to do as a rogue, as a priest, as a shaman, as a hunter, as a whatever. You know, you've downloaded method dungeon tools. You got your consumables. You're in Discord with everyone. Well, now what? Well, now you get to see how all of that comes into play. Now, method dungeon tools is an add-on I mentioned a moment ago, but there are other add-ons that are tremendously helpful. Some that I have written down here. Your weak auras, oh my goodness. Weak auras could literally do anything in the right hands. I use weak auras for a variety of things, such as displaying, here I'll actually pull it up on my rogue. I use weak auras for a variety of things. I track Blade Flurry, my rotation, my Roll the Bones buffs. I have my necklace essences that I track. Cooldowns, both defensive and offensive, all that stuff you typically see displayed in the middle of your screen, right? Woohoo! Everyone, pretty much everyone knows that. But I mean, you have the option. This is an old weak aura that actually isn't even updated or supported anymore. It's called Tear's Cooldowns. In my case, the upper left side of my screen. I don't think it'll display right now because I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't really display anything. But in the upper left hand of my side of my screen, when I'm in a run, when I've got a warrior, when I've got a demon hunter, and this, that, and the other, I can see their cooldowns. Like I can actually see, have they used a specific stun? Have they used a personal defensive, a group defensive, like rallying cry in terms of the warrior, or a shield wall in terms of the warrior? I can see all of that. And that's available not just with weak auras. You could download Exorcist's raid tools and track the same thing. I'm sure there are other add-ons that I'm not familiar with or thinking of right now, but being able to see abilities for yourself and your team makes a big difference. I have Trinket Tracker, which is great. And I want to show you something else. Let me find it. Give me one. Here we go. BFA Dungeons. Now this bad boy right here is a honker of a weak aura. I actually need to change the text. That text, I don't like that text. I need to change the text, the font. But that being said, this bad boy is updated frequently. It is regularly updated by the people who made it. And I'll try to remember to link it in the description below. All you have to do is you got to download weak auras, then you import that weak aura script, or whatever it's called. Is it called a script for weak aura? I don't even remember at this point in time. I'm talking too much. And you import it, you export it from the website, you import it into the game, and that'll pop up, and you can configure the size, the shape, the growth direction, and there are incredible tools built within weak auras. You have sound notifications saying move or hey, dodge that mechanic. I mean, it's just, it literally tells you how to avoid dying. It shows you what abilities are about to transpire on a boss-to-boss basis. And you may be thinking to yourself, Brutal, you noob. I already have an add-on like that. It's called Deadly Boss Mods or Little Wigs or something like that. Awesome. Use that too. Using DBM or Little Wigs in conjunction with WEAKAURAS. Oh my goodness. The amount of information that is available to me as a player on a boss-by-boss or a dungeon-by-dungeon basis is unbelievable. I said a little while ago, we have more information available to us as players today than we have ever had before. And it's true. And again, I know some people love that, some people hate that. I tend to be of the former versus the latter. I love information. I love being able to see, you know, what's about to transpire. I love being able to look through a death note and look through details, the add-on details, and see the damage breakdown. Hey, we just wiped to a void-touched emissary. I see that our rogue and our hunter were attacking the void-touched emissary, but our shaman, for some reason, who did more damage as a whole and is higher on the damage meter, did no damage to the void-touched emissary? Add-ons can be a crutch, but they can also be, not to overuse the word because I used it a few minutes ago, an incredible boon, a benefit to your group. Having certain add-ons can make your understanding and make your performance increase tenfold, 100-fold, a bajillion-fold. It's incredible, man. But having those add-ons, and even more add-ons that I haven't mentioned, well, I have another one here called Plater that I'll talk about in a moment. Oh, man. I'm a big fan and believer and user of add-ons. I would love to talk to anyone out there who has an add-on question or an add-on concern or whatever. I've written add-on guides for WOWHEAD before. One of the guides I wrote was about the add-on Plater, which I want to talk to you about. Plater is a nameplate add-on. In fact, I'll go ahead and fly over to an NPC and show you something. The Plater is one of those add-ons to where when I first started using it, I did not fully comprehend or understand the impact it was going to have on my performance or experience in a Mythic Plus dungeon run, or any run, anything in the game, but particularly a Mythic Plus. Ooh, a sea stock. Hee. So, Sand, Skitter Crab, 50k health, level 120, 100% at the moment. Who cares, right? Well, the beautiful thing about Plater, one of the beautiful things about Plater, I should say, there's a ton of options within here. I get it. It's a little overwhelming. This is a whole big can of worms that I'm not looking to get into in this video. But the beautiful thing about Plater is you have the oh no, I can't expand it. Oh no, whatever. The beautiful thing, oh, there's a scale here. I'm sorry. There it is. The beautiful thing about Plater is the fact that you have something called scripting and you have something called modding. Now, we already have mods or add-ons in the game, but when you mod something like Plater, it can make a huge difference. As an example, I have, let's talk about two mods right here, Mythic Plus Colored Mobs and Mythic Plus MDT Mob Percentage. Now, you can see in the tooltip, when I hover over the colored mobs, it simply says color the nameplates of important Mythic Plus mobs. And it literally does just that. When I'm in a Mythic Plus, and yeah, like I know what's important in a Mythic Plus because I've run a billion of them. But when you're first starting out, you'll see that certain NPCs are colored differently on their nameplate to indicate they're like mini bosses or they're high priority targets or whatever the case may be. This is a mod. It does not come innately in Plater, as far as I know. All you do is you export it from the website, you import it in the game. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to link all of these scripts and mobs in the description below because there are a ton of them that I use and a ton of them I'm a big fan of. So if you want some of them, comment, come to Twitch, talk to me, we'll figure it out. This one right here, the the Mythic Plus MDT mob percentage, shows the Mythic Plus mob percentage on the nameplate. It requires MDT to work. Does exactly, and again, there are other add-ons that do this, I know, but I'm just giving you examples that this mod for Plater, when I'm in a Mythic Plus, I can see that that NPC is worth exactly 2.02% or 0.67% or whatever. And it's helpful. Again, all these little things add up and they contribute to your understanding and your performance and so on and so forth. Now, scripts are a little different because what scripting will actually do is it'll interact with and it'll change the nameplate of the NPC that's doing something. So let's take a look at this. Explosion Affix Mythic plus Plater. This week is an explosion week. I'm recording this Saturday, so we still have all of the rest of today, Sunday and Monday, to deal with explosion. This applies several animations when the explosion orb cast starts on a mythic dungeon with the explosion affix. When an explosion, when an explosive orb spawns, boom! That nameplate, boop! It's huge. It's red. It's glowy and fizzly and crackly and poppily and everything. It's nuts, man. There is never any excuse for me as a player with this script.
Oh, I didn't see that. Didn't see the explosive orb there. Sorry, guys. It escaped my vision.
No, that doesn't happen. Because in this case, with this script, oh man, it's glorious. Same thing with well, this is old fixate, but nevertheless, same thing with me when I'm on my warlock. I have the agony debuff that flashes, so there's something for everyone out there. It's incredible. These are just a few of the ones that I use. Highlight a very important cast, applying several effects onto the cast bar. So when I see an NPC that's casting a deadly spell, boom, interrupt that bad boy, blind it, gouge it, between the eyes it, whatever I can do as a rogue, taking care of business, baby. So all of that being said, oh, hello there. You're a little small, aren't you? All of that being said, when you're in the midst of a Mythic Plus run, and you have Plater, you have Little Wigs or DBM, you have your WEAKAURAS, they're all instructing you. And it's funny, there's actually a viewer question we're going to get to here in a few minutes that kind of contradicts what I'm saying, but we'll tackle that in a few minutes. But when you have these add-ons that are assisting you, and they're guiding you, and they're helping you, they can be a crutch. You'll have players that play really poorly with add-ons, really poorly without add-ons. You can have players that are coasting and cruising through Mythic Plus because they think that their add-ons are going to just play the game for them. Obviously not the case, but when applied appropriately and when handled intelligently, add-ons contribute and they complement your ability so well. And it's your job to dig and dive and delve in to figure out what add-ons work for me as a player. What do I need to know as a Resto Druid or as a Discipline Priest or as a Blood Death Knight? What do I need to know to make myself more capable to help me understand what's going on and to help me fulfill my role to a greater degree? World markers are pretty self-explanatory. I have an add-on called Exorcist Raid Tools that I use. I just type in /RT. I can pull up a mark bar. The reason why it's in this weird, like off the side, is because this is the area where my group cooldowns, I mentioned that WEAKAURA a few minutes ago, cares cooldowns. So that's there. This is right next to it, so I can apply world markers wherever I want. I don't think it works. Don't, just because my UI bugged out, don't blame me, everyone. But assuming that my UI doesn't bug out, all you have to do is literally click that. You can apply it to the ground. I know you can hotkey the markers above NPCs' heads. I'm sure, I've never bothered to do it myself. I'm sure there's a way to potentially hotkey or to apply world markers even more easily. Maybe you know something I don't. Maybe you apply world markers in a different manner, more efficient manner. That's great. Feel free to educate me. And by the way, I know I'm like an hour into this recording. If you're listening to me talk about Mythic Plus, if you're listening to me, explain things, and you know something that I'm saying can be done better, maybe it just doesn't work unless I'm in a dungeon. Maybe I'm silly. But if you know something can be done better or more efficiently or be explained in a more intelligent fashion, please mention that and speak up. I'm not the kind of person or player that shuts people down like, no, man, I'm right, you're wrong. No. We all have something to learn from each other. Again, I'm Raider.io 2600, which is 2600 higher than some people and 1,000 points lower than others, right? We all have something to learn, so don't be afraid to be like, hey, Brutal, you said this, but in all actuality, I believe this, that, and the other. Cool, man. Let's talk. No big deal. Let's rock and roll. So We've talked about add-ons, your method dungeon tools, your WEAKAURAS, your platers, and little wigs, and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about world markers briefly, although I couldn't even show you it because I guess I have to be in a dungeon to use it. Or it's bugged, I'm not really sure. Today I learned. We've talked about consumables, your fish feast, your potions, your health potions. We talked about that a little while ago. Again, we're talking about things that can be done in the moment in the dungeon. Let's talk about crowd control. That's right, our old friend CC. Now, way back in the day, when you were running your Blackrock depths, and in TBC, when you were running your shattered halls and so on and so forth, man, CC was our best friend, wasn't it? Well, in more recent years and expansions, we've kind of drifted away from CC. And now, for the most part, the most CC you see are interrupts and stuns and whatnot. But this season in particular, especially with your Emissary of the Tides and plenty of other things, there are plenty of reasons to use CC intelligently. You like that? That rhymed. I did that one on the spot. You're welcome. You can take that one to the bank. But crowd control is incredibly important when it comes to managing your time and managing mobs in a Mythic Plus dungeon. When you see an NPC casting a deadly spell, your first instinct is probably to interrupt it. That's good. Sometimes they can be stunned, sometimes they can't. But what about roots? What about slows? What about silences? Everything comes into play, and you as a player need to know your toolkit, and if you're in Discord, you need to know when something is occurring. Now here's a little story, here's a little example. Using WEAKAURAS. Let me pull it up here. Let me show you what you got. What I got. Using WEAKAURAS, there's a WEAKAURA called, in this case, it's called Mythic Plus Auto Marker. This WEAKAURA will automatically mark NPCs with things like star and circle and whatnot. If you're in Discord, when an NPC is marked, if I have been assigned star, circle, triangle, whatever, I know it's my job to lock that bad boy down. If I'm in the Underrot and there's here, you like how I'm able to use all these add-ons to showcase? I love this, man. I love being able to do this. So let's say I'm in the old Underrot, right? Let me actually make a new one here. That way I can just hone in on these bad boys. Let's say I'm in the Underrot and I'm right next to, it's thinking, wait, why? Hold on. Second. MDT needs to get updated. Look, everything's labeled a feral blood swarmer. I assure you, these are not all feral blood swarmers. Let me go back to a different preset. There we go. Now, oh man, MDT. I'm trying to showcase the power of MDT, and it keeps bugging out. Anyway, let's say we're in the Underrot, okay? You've cleared 2 and killed the first boss. Now you're trying to get to Mr. Second Boss over here, and we're talking about CC, don't forget. Well, as a rogue, if my WEAKAURAS is automatically assigned, let's say, circle to this guy and star to this guy, and it's my job to lock down star, I know, based on my understanding of, the game and my understanding of how this NPC is structured in the actual dungeon, but I know that I can disorient it, so I can blind that bad boy. I know that I can stun that bad boy with my gouge and my between the eyes. I know that I can interrupt his decaying mind cast. You do not want that to go off because that stuns someone for like 25 seconds. It's a mess. I know that as a rogue, I have the ability to lock this bad boy down, and that's my responsibility. It's my priority, period, right? CC is so important because if that decaying mind goes out, let's say that we don't have the ability to, dispel it for whatever reason. Or let's say that maybe we even do have the ability to dispel it. That's taking a GCD away from the healer or away from a monk DPS or whoever has the chance to dispel it. So you're wasting time. That takes, attention away from other priorities. All of these things come into play, and people simply don't think of it that way. When they should. If you want to be successful at Mythic Plus, if you want to raise your Raider.io score, if you want to clear your 10 every week or whatever the case may be, every little thing you do comes into play. When it comes to tanks pulling patterns, when it comes to, a DPS's ability to AoE versus single target versus prioritize during bursting and bolstering weeks, and everything comes into play, right? But understanding how everything fits and pieces together is hugely helpful. Just in this silly little example alone, We've talked about a weak aura auto-marking mobs. We've talked about using method dungeon tools to understand the positioning and the ability, the toolkit of an NPC. We've talked about how to crowd control properly. We've talked about the danger of not crowd controlling properly and what the actual outcome of that could be. Death. Wasting time. It's bad. All of this stuff comes into play, right? Holy cow. But people don't think of it that way. People just think to themselves, wait, am I number one in details? Ha ha! Suck it, noobs! I'm top deeps! Like, that's all the average player seems to think about because they don't understand how a Mythic Plus on average can be, approached and how it can be countered and how it can be conquered and how with a little bit more effort and understanding, and I know this is not everyone's gonna, appreciate this, but with a little bit more effort, a little bit more understanding, your runs will go smoother. People will be more friendly and understanding toward each other. There will be fewer issues that arise and pop up, and oh man, it's just kumbaya, baby, kumbaya. So, oh man, sorry, I go on these tangents. I apologize. I like when things go smoothly in Mythic Plus. Okay, so what happens inevitably when something goes wrong? It happens. Even in the best of situations, in the best of cases, mistakes will be made. We talked about that at the beginning of this workshop, right? Mistakes are gonna be made. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Brutal's back with a brand new edition of Mythic Plus tips. I don't know. Listen, don't worry about what I just said. But for real, stopping what's going on and taking a moment and reviewing and understanding what happened and listening to the explanation of the other people in your group goes a long, long, long way. Too quickly, we jump down the tank's throat, we jump down the healer's throat, people jump down a particular DPSer's throat, and they place blame, they're quick to point fingers, and they're quick to leave groups, and they're quick to get aggravated and agitated, and I get it. Guilty as charged. I mean, I'm over here, live well, be well, do well, right here. Find this on my merch shop. Click on the link below. But far too often, we place the blame, we try to pass the buck, when in reality, if we understood what went wrong and what could be done to correct that issue the next time, it would go a long, long way to make things better. It just would. Everyone thinks they know best. Guilty as charged, ladies and gentlemen. My first instinct as a player, I think I know best. I don't. Full stop. I don't. I don't always know exactly what happened. I don't always know, exactly what went wrong. I don't always know the exact solution to the problem. I probably make more mistakes than your average player in a Mythic Plus because I'm constantly trying to find new ways to do something, new priorities, new this, new that. But by making those mistakes, I'm learning from them. But chill, man. Stop, listen, explain, be receptive, communicate effectively. Don't go in with the mindset that you're the boss, man. Like, I'm a 1200 Raider.io player. These 800 Raider.io players don't know what they're doing. Let me show them a thing or two. Man, we've all done that. Maybe just me. But just because you have a higher .io score, just because you've done a dungeon a little bit faster, or you've cleared it a week sooner than someone else, you don't know everything. And it goes a long way to make sure the group runs smoothly and to make sure everyone is having a good time and that we're all learning from mistakes if you don't assume you know best. Hey, look, in the background, a war supply crate. Gotta go get that. This is very important. Hold on. So, mistakes are inevitable. Learn how to learn, people. This is just stinking. This is human psychology 101, right? Understanding what is going on in any given moment and learning how to learn from your mistakes and from the mistakes of other people are huge. Absolutely huge. And if you're shutting down, and if you are, being a stubborn mule, and you are not being receptive, and you're not being helpful, and you're not being assistive, then what are you doing? Listen, when it comes to Mythic Plus, you are in a group setting, right? It's a group setting. It takes a group effort. It takes a joint effort to be successful at a Mythic Plus. We don't hear about people clearing Mythic Plus all too often. It does happen from time to time. You know, Demon Hunters or Blood DKs or whoever. Oh, I cleared a plus 10 on time. Go me. Or I cleared a plus 10 in 4 hours. Go me. But it's a group effort. That's just the way it is. So if you're able to slow your roll and have a little bit more understanding and a little bit more patience and a little bit more, a little bit more maturity, it can make a world of a difference, not just for your current run, but for future runs. It's huge. Now, I haven't really taken anything from Twitch chat, like live Twitch chat. However, oh man, here's a great one. So we have a viewer that says Raider.io is the worst thing in the game. I hate it so much. Let's talk. Pump those brakes. It's not that easy. Raider.io is a double-edged sword, right? Raider.io is a website. I've already pulled it up on screen. You literally type into your browser Raider.io. That is the URL. And what Raider.io does is it takes your character and it calculates and gives you a score based on the level of dungeon you ran. So a plus 10, a plus 15, a plus 5, a plus whatever, and the time that you ran it in. If you complete a dungeon on time, before the timer expires, it's worth more points than it is if you complete it after it expires. If you do it, at the plus 2 or plus 3 chest level, or whatever you want to call it these days, it's worth even more and blah, blah, blah. Raider.io is nothing more than a tool. Raider.io is not a problem or the problem. It is simply there to assist players in understanding where they sit on the scale of terrible to amazing. And what I mean by that is, just because a player is 2600 in my case, doesn't mean that they have full and firm understanding of every dungeon and every affix and every boss and every mechanic and so on and so forth. It means they probably have a pretty good understanding, but it's not, you're not going to know everything of everything. And it also doesn't mean that a plus 800 player is stupid. It doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're incapable. It simply means that they haven't, moved beyond running, 7s or 8s or 9s or whatever an 800 score these days is worth. Does that mean that they're a terrible person or a terrible player? No. But it gives you an idea as to what they are capable of. But that's not Raider.io's fault. And I'll take it a step farther. When I'm forming a pug, as an example, I have taken people with a score far less than myself, or far less than the quote-unquote recommended score for a dungeon or whatever, or a level, I should say, a keystone level. If in Raider.io, let me see if I can pull it up here. This is, I've run a variety of dungeons this week. There's my mistimed 19. Woo! I haven't done too many high-level dungeons this week because I've been doing other things. Who cares? But if I see someone with a 736 score for this season, and I'm forming a mythic, let's say, plus 9 total to gore, and it's like, 700 score. Hello? This person has cleared a 12 on time. They probably have a decent understanding. Raider.io is a tool. Common sense has to come into play. Sadly, not everyone practices common sense in this regard. But don't blame Raider.io for your failings or the failings of other people. Raider.io is a fantastic tool that assists people in making intelligent, informed decisions on a case-by-case basis. That's all that it is. And guess what? If Raider.io didn't exist, we'd be complaining, item level is the stupidest thing in the game. And if item level didn't exist, we'd still be complaining about, gear score is the stupidest thing in the game. And if gear score didn't exist, we'd be complaining about, shamans are the stupidest class in the game. Oh wait, we already do complain about that. But for real, Raider.io is not the problem. It's people's misuse and misunderstanding of the tool that becomes a problem. So don't badmouth Raider.io. Don't throw it under the bus. Raider.io is a fantastic tool to assist people in making intelligent decisions. That's all that it is. And if it's being misused, then perhaps it will go a long way to educate someone. Easier said than done. Than to badmouth. Well, it's probably easier to badmouth Reddit.io. But that's unfair, it's untrue, and it's unnecessary. So I want to take a moment here and thank you guys for being a part of today's stream. This has been a lot of fun for me. I've tried to, again, we're trying to lay the foundations and the basics of Mythic Plus, but we've had a lot of viewer submitted questions. I mean, a lot of viewer submitted questions for the stream here. Let me see. Let me get this. Let me swap that. Minimize. Yes, there we go. We've had a ton of viewer submitted questions leading up to the workshop, and we're going to take a few minutes now. We're going to deep dive into these questions. We're going to have some fun with this stuff. No one submitted their name. To be fair, I didn't really ask for their name. No one really submitted their name. So I don't know specifically who wrote these in, but if you're out there and you wrote this question, feel free to chime in and I'll call you out. Thank you guys so much. So Mythic Plus Workshop, twitch.tv/BrutallStatic. Let's get right into the viewer questions here. First question from someone. When is it appropriate to death run in a dungeon? Where does a 25-second penalty make more sense than clearing trash? This is a great question. Whoever submitted this, thank you. Let me explain what a death run is. Every time you die in a Mythic Plus group or in a Mythic Plus dungeon, you get a 5-second penalty to your timer. You also are penalized because you have to run back or battle res or regular res. I mean, there's every single time you die, it's more than 5 seconds, believe me. But in terms of the timer itself, if you die, boom, you lose 5 seconds. It sucks. Try not to die. But there's this thing called a death run in a Mythic Plus dungeon to where the group coordinates and applies a soul stone. If you have a warlock, you're applying a soul stone to a healer. If you have a battle res in the group or an engineer in the group, you can battle res someone after they've died to skip trash and blah, blah, blah. A great example of this, let me actually pull up MDT once more. A great example of this is in Shrine of the Storms, the first dungeon we looked at earlier today. In Shrine of the Storms, you'll see here, there is, there are, after the second boss, this is the second boss here, there's a large trash back here that's usually killed, a large trash back here that's usually skipped, this guy who patrols, this pack, these two guys, they're stationary, the tentacle room, and then the big bridge, right? Everyone knows the big bridge and how annoying it is and blah, blah, blah. If you have a rogue, you can shroud down the bridge. If you have invisibility potions, you can invisibility potion down the bridge. Or if you have the ability to do a death run, you can death run the bridge. So what a death run will usually consist of is after you clear whatever trash you want to clear after the second boss. For the sake of this example, I'll give you two. I play Warlock, I play Rogue. I'll give you an example from both of those. As a Rogue, I can literally just, mount up, run in here, sprint, grapple hook, vanish, wherever I want to on the bridge, and I'm out of combat. And as my Rogue is also an engineer, which I think is a really intelligent profession to play as a Rogue because I can vanish and shroud and stealth and blah, blah, blah. But as an engineer, I can then battle res someone. Not specifically during, combat, but in this case, I've survived with my vanish. The other 4 members of the group are dead past this trash right here. I can then battle res the healer who reses the other 3 players. The 5 of us are now alive. We now shroud down the bridge. We skip a lot of slow, cumbersome, annoying trash. Woohoo! As a warlock, what I can do is I can soulstone the healer. We run into this group, this room. We run all the way down here, and you die at the end of this bridge on these stairwells. The healer soulstone, he or she pops up. Rest of the group, we move on. We've skipped a lot of slow and cumbersome trash. Woohoo! There are a million different ways. Maybe not a million, but there are a few different ways you can death skip and death run. To get back to the actual question at hand, when is it appropriate to death run in the dungeon? Well, from a mathematical standpoint, when it's going to take less time to do that than it is to clear the trash. There are some annoying trash bags out there. Oh my goodness. Whoo! Holy cow. The bridge is just one example. by skipping the tentacle room and the 3 packs on the bridge. Oh my goodness, you skip a lot of frustration. There are plenty of examples. There's an example in Motherload. You see a lot of groups these days, or back in season 2. I can't really speak to everything in season 3 so far, but in season 2, you would see people clear. Basically, here I'll pull it up in the game again. You would see people clear in Motherload basically every single bit and piece of trash leading up to the first boss. So much trash will be cleared leading up to the first boss, and then you pull a handful of trash up into the second boss, and then as you can see, it's almost nothing from second boss to third boss to fourth boss. And what you would do is you would just death run. You would shroud and or death run, and you would skip the masterminds, which do a ton of damage, the large packs of trash. You would skip the specialists and the war machines, and oh my goodness, man, it saved tremendous amounts of time. So, we have the MDI, the Mythic Dungeon International, that is on multiple times a year, the seasons or whatever you want to call it. And during those moments, we see people do some crazy things. And then you see that start to trickle in and fall into the game. And you see people trying to replicate or trying to duplicate those things. And it's not always successful. But ultimately, when you start, running certain dungeons with, people who are a bit more experienced, you'll see and experience these skips with invisibility potions and shrouds and death runs, and ultimately it's better to death run certain areas like in the Motherloads and your shrines and whatnot to save time. As contradictory as that may seem, you intentionally die to skip difficult or long-lasting trash, and it saves you time. So real quick, I have a viewer that says, Brutal, you noob, we can use our engineering battle res during combat. Well, yeah. If I misspoke, I apologize. The example I was giving is you don't have to use it in combat. You can use it outside of combat, as with any battle res. I just wanted to clarify that, clear that up, just in case I misspoke or was confusing. I apologize. I was simply stating that rogues being an engineer and having that battle res is awesome. So, let's see. I'm just catching up. Hello to everyone joining in late. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Here's a great in-the-moment viewer question. When you're forming groups for a Mythic Plus, especially your higher level Mythic Plus, do you guys all talk about the skips and tactics for about 5 minutes beforehand? Yeah, in most instances, absolutely. I run with a couple of people, a couple of groups, or a couple of, different tanks pretty regularly. And oftentimes, if we're in a Waycrest Manor or that Motherload or whatever dungeon you're in, we almost always say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. Death run here, shroud here, invisibility potion here, whatever the case may be. It is incredibly important. And this goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the actual workshop, is preparation. And it's hugely important. It saves you time in the moment. It opens people's eyes and gives them better understanding. So yes, we almost always talk about it before the run, and that should be true for a +2 all the way up to a +22 and beyond. Is preparation, communication, super important. Moving on to the next question. Positioning as a tank always throws me for a loop. When is it best to turn mobs around and direct them away from the group? Almost always. This is again, if you remember me saying a few minutes ago, I am an old school tank. I tanked from 2005 to 2015. I am a huge believer in tanks being the ringleader, and tanks being the man or woman in charge and getting the job done. I think tanks are the backbone, the foundation. They are it when it comes to basically any grouped content in the game. That's just the way I feel. In terms of positioning and turning mobs away, oftentimes in Mythic Plus runs, you have mobs that cleave, or they tail whip, or they breathe fire, or whatever the case may be. And the last thing you want to do is to, haphazardly turn an NPC and murder your group, or to not pay attention, to not understand what you're doing and murder your group. It's bad. So yes, positioning is super important. There are moments, like, there have been moments where I've been tanking. I can actually remember a moment this week. I was in Siege of Borealis. There are the packs of monkeys, and they throw the bananas, and there's that big Add-on, I think is what they're called, the big add-on that patrols. It's between the second and third boss. They're annoying. Well, I pulled the monkeys, I pulled the add-on, and the add-on, like, I pulled the add-on, and the add-on immediately starts his big, frontal smash cleave thing. And it's, I think it comes, if I remember correctly, it comes out in a straight line. And so all I did was say, hey guys, he's cleaving, please move. Like that's all it takes, right? Like, you're able to do that in the moment because of Discord. And once he was done, like, even though I had pulled that pack toward the group and the add-on was cleaving onto the group, because my group members recognized what was happening, because I communicated the issue, the players had already moved around the NPCs, and they were now, all four of my teammates were behind the NPCs. So I didn't need to turn them around at that point in time. Was it a little bit of wasted time in terms of, the caster had to move and the healer had to move, so they lost a little bit of damage, lost a little bit of uptime on heals? Well, yeah, of course, that's inevitable. Is it going to make or break the run? Probably not. So yes, you should always be trying to position mobs to keep your group safe and sound. But when problems like that occur, you can respond to them if you're in Discord, if you're paying attention, and really you can avoid problems like that many, many times over. So that's just one example. Hope it helped. How do you determine the route you take for each dungeon? I always feel like I could be doing more as a tank. It seems most of the time the tank is the one that dictates the pathing and pacing of the dungeon run. I swear, we just talked about this. Yes, indeed. So how do you determine the route you take for each dungeon? Oftentimes, you more or less just do what you have seen other players and tanks do. You more or less do what you see people in the MDI do. You kind of just go with the flow. Very, very, very seldomly, and I'll give you an example. Very seldomly do you actually try to reinvent the wheel. As an example, let's just use this motherload as an example. Let me see if I can go into a new one without it breaking. Oh, MDT, why do you do these things? Let me go to default. Okay, there we go. So let's say you is the tank. This is where you start, right here. Again, you can hover over everything and you can see exactly how much everything is worth. These guys are worth 0.78 collectively. But let's say, and again, this is just a random silly example. Let's say that you as the tank somehow figure out a way to death run to the first boss's room. So you get to the first boss, you death run, you get rezzed up, you clear this pack of trash. And then you think to yourself, you know what? We're going to do that again. We're going to death run to the second boss. So then you death run to the second boss. And just for, this example's sake, let's say you pulled this back right here. And now you're at 12% and you have 88% to go. And then you, in your infinite wisdom, decide, you know what? I'm going to pull these masterminds. I'm going to pull this and this and this. And it's like, listen, we're almost a year into BFA. You don't need to reinvent the wheel in most cases. You're not pushing Mythic 28s over here and trying to min-max every single little thing. And these NPCs are harder to kill anyway. They have more HP, more dangerous abilities, etc., etc. So it's one of those things to where, getting back to the actual question at hand, how do you determine the route you take for each dungeon? Raider.io has that news page I showed you. Dratanos, I apologize. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. You'd think I would, but I don't. He has routes laid out for people every single week. Experience and practice come into play. But really, it becomes second nature. It becomes you become very comfortable in that setting when you've run a dungeon 5-10 times. Oh, 5-10 times? Trust me, when it comes to Mythic Plus, running a dungeon 5 or 10 times happens quickly. If you're running Mythic Plus throughout the week every week, you can rack up 10 Motherload clears within a week or two, no problem. Or 10 Waycrest Manors within a week or two, no problem. I mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to die. You're going to cause wipes in your group. And that's especially true as a tank. It's going to happen. If you are listening to this and you are a tank and you've either never done Mythic Plus or you've done only maybe you've done one Mythic Plus and had a bad experience with it, I encourage you, get back in there, get your feet wet, get your hands dirty, bleed a little, make those mistakes. You will be better for it. I can promise you. The world needs... Wait, I gotta... Oh, wait. Check. The world needs more tanks. Please, do yourself and do the community at large a giant favor and go have some fun. go make those mistakes. Yes, we have a viewer who wants to know if he can ask a question about tanking. Absolutely. The latter half of this question, again, says, I always feel like I could be doing more as a tank. That's true. There is always more you can do as a tank. Most of the time, the tank is the one that dictates the pathing and pacing of the dungeon run. We talked about this with the last question. That's true. Pathing, pacing, positioning, P cubed, as I like to call it, the 3 Ps. Man, I talk about this stuff all the time on my live stream. Your pathing, your pacing, your positioning of mobs throughout the dungeon is huge, huge, huge. And the tank is the one responsible for it. The reason why, and I know we know all this, but I know all of us know this, but the reason why we don't see as many tanks as we do DPS is not just because you need 1 tank as opposed to 3 DPS in a dungeon run, but it's because tanking is a huge responsibility. When I was tanking, Mythic Plus didn't exist. I mean, the extent of my understanding of tanking started and stopped at raiding and the occasional challenge mode. You know, what the precursor for Mythic Plus. And that was it. And dude, hey, I don't care what you say. Raid tanking's easy. You just literally stand there and you occasionally pull a boss to a different location in the room. Big whoop. But when it comes to Mythic Plus, holy cow, man. There's so much more to it. You are the shot caller. You are the person that determines the route you take. You are calling for stuns and interrupts and CCs. I mean, being a tank nowadays is so much more work than being a tank a decade ago. Even 5 years ago. It's so much more work. So, yeah. I'm sure I've rambled on enough about this question. Let's move on. Next question. I would like to know where I should be using Bloodlust in a dungeon on a fortified week versus a tyrannical week. Is it always best to Bloodlust on bosses during tyrannical weeks and on trash during fortified weeks? Ooh. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's right. I said Bloodlust, not heroism. Get out of here. So, Bloodlust is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, tools in a group's toolbox when it comes to clearing a dungeon and getting through a boss or getting through a hard trash pack and so on and so forth. Knowing where to use Bloodlust is very much a case-by-case basis. Yes, generally on Tyrannical Week, you want to use your Bloodlusts on bosses. And yes, generally on Fortified Week, you could use your Bloodlust on really difficult trash packs. Let's do another example here. Let's pull up Ataldazar. Ataldazar just went through a few changes. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I have a page up for this. Give me 1 second. Wait for it. Oh, look, I do. I came prepared, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. So check this out. This right here is just this was posted 12 days ago on WOWHEAD. Blah blah blah. Dungeon ability changes, and I want to focus on one change real quick. Volcal, he's the, well, I shouldn't say second boss, but he's typically the second boss you kill in Ataldazar. I'll show you who he is in game on in MDT in a moment. But right here, fixed a bug with rapid decay that caused the self-inflicted damage to scale improperly with the key level. This change results in players needing to do about 50% more damage than before, and it makes the fight take much longer. Players will have to do multiple laps around that. Well, I haven't encountered that. I've cleared AD a handful of times, and we basically kill him in more or less the same amount of time as is. Granted, I'm not pushing 20s at the moment, but in the 8s, the 10s, the 12s, the whatevers I've been killing him in across the characters in my account, hasn't really been that crazy. But nevertheless, let me show you. Let me give you the example I'm thinking of here. So I wanted to lay out the ground rules there. After you kill Volcal here, the guy, Zonan's here. You go kill it, Razan down in the pit, and you come back up and you clear to Volcal, and there he is. After you kill him, well, pause. Some people, for some inexplicable reason, like to jump down here and kill the stalkers. I don't like that personally, because what I like to do is, whether you shroud or whether you kill, regardless, you get to Volcal, you deal with this pack in front of him, typically by death running him off to the side, or in my case, I'm a rogue. I can actually pull them to the side. My group runs in, I vanish, I sneak in, everyone's alive. We didn't kill anything, no one themselves were killed. We're all, we're no worse for the wear. We kill the boss, same thing, I run this pack of trash to the side, I vanish, they run out, I meet them at the stairs, we drop down, and what we'll do, Tyrannical weeks, fortified weeks especially, this is just one of the examples based on the question, what I like to do with my groups is we will pull the 2 stalkers, and we will pull these 4 NPCs right here, Well, that's 6 NPCs. Right now, sometimes there's a Tides Emissary. I think there's a Tides Emissary there this week, but nevertheless, you pull it all, you pop your Bloodlust, and you go to town. You go ham. So Tyrannical week, Fortified week, that's what I like to do. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you need to use Bloodlust in other areas. Tyrannical week, whatever the case may be. In fact, in AD, I'll pull it back up, in Atal Dazar, in patch 8.2, they changed the Colossus. His gathered souls no longer grants healing on an ally's death. The damage bonus has been reduced from 25 to 10%. And then the reanimated Honor Guard, his periodic damage has been decreased by 23% as well. So they made the Colossus a little bit easier to kill. I have not been in a group since patch 8.2 that's gone to the left. Because these bad boys right here, the Colossus, they're no fun. I haven't been in a group that's gone left to the Priest first. All of my groups that I've been running with are still doing either Razan first, or, this pack of trash, pop Bloodlust, then Razan, and then you clear the way to Volcal, and then you clear the way to, then you clear the way to the Priest, etc., etc. So it's pretty much the same as it's always been. But yes, to actually get back to the question at hand, there are some instances to where Bloodlust is used on specific packs of trash to get through them because they're difficult bits and pieces of trash. And that's probably even more true now with emissaries. They slap a void emissary in that pack. Oh, good Lord Almighty! You better kill her before she kills you. It's nuts. So I hate to kind of leave my answer in limbo, but of course it all depends, right? It all depends. Every instance is different. Every dungeon is different. Every week with affixes, it's different. Every placing of beguiling is different, etc. And sometimes it's gonna be an effort in futility. Sometimes you're gonna have to get in there and make a mistake to learn for your next run. And season 3 is gonna last for quite a while. We're gonna, it's all gonna come full circle. The affixes we're dealing with this week, we will eventually see again before season 3 concludes. So it's important to try to retain and remember what you've learned week to week to week to week, and make those experiences that much easier and better on your group as each week unfolds. So sorry if I'm missing anything in chat. Let's see. I know we had a viewer question about tanking. Let's get to that viewer question real quick. I have a warrior and a paladin tank. I love tanking. However, with my vision disability, what is better for positioning with my slower response time than normal people? Ooh, that's a really good question. So let me just think out loud here. This individual has a vision disability. Thus, the positioning of mobs is going to be slower because it takes longer to process what's going on and, what's happening and so on and so forth. What's better for positioning? So if you are, I'm assuming based on what you're saying, you probably run with friends, family, guildmates, community members, the normal, you probably have a group of people you like to run with regularly. And if not, let's say you pug, whatever. I think it goes a long way to explain, hey guys, it would help me a lot if you could take a brief moment and make sure that you are not in front of the mob to be cleaved. Again, if you have people you run with regularly, then that's pretty cut and dry. They know what to expect, no big deal. In a pug, some people may be a little opposed to that. Some people may be a little lazy or stubborn and not want to do that. However, that's not your problem. You should not feel obligated to, do something that's uncomfortable or even to a point impossible for you. I know that there are vision settings within the game. I'm sure you know that, obviously. I think the vision settings are related to color blindness. Maybe they go beyond that. I'm ignorant toward that. I simply don't know. But I think it goes a long way just to communicate and say, hey guys, this is how it is. I'm fully capable of tanking. I'm not going to die. I'm not bad. I just need a little bit of assistance on your part for positioning and making sure you're in a good position to not die to a cleave. If I'm doing anything weird in the moment, please let me know. We will correct and rectify that as needed. So yeah, being upfront with pugs goes a long way. Good question. Interesting question too. I hope that helps. What's next? What add-ons and tools, nameplates, macros, etc., are essential to a player's performance in Mythic Plus keys, and how do I optimize my UI to take it? Ooh, and we pretty much already touched on this earlier. Add-ons and tools. We've talked about your method dungeon tools, your WEAKAURAS, your DBMs, and little wigs. We've talked about Plater. Oh man, I'm a big fan of Plater these days. We've even mentioned details and Death Note. I'm sure I've probably... Oh, Exorcist raid tools. I might have even mentioned another one or two. I have no idea. Optimizing your UI. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I truly think that a user interface can make a world of difference for the player base at large. For each player, finding a UI that works for you, whether you download, like, you know, my UI is available for download. A million other people have their UIs available for download. Some UIs prioritize rating, others are Mythic Plus, some are PvP, some are Lore Master UIs, Transmog UIs, money-making UIs. There's a UI for everything, right? Default UI. But having add-ons and tools, like your Platers and your WEAKAURAS and stuff, provide nothing but a benefit to you as long as you know how to use that which is in front of you. If you download Plater and then you just expect it to work exactly how you want it to work without putting forth effort to learn it, to integrate those scripts and mods I mentioned earlier and blah, 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 you're going to have a bad time. You're just not going to succeed to the level, to the degree that you want to. You're not going to perform at that level that you want to. So taking time to understand how a UI works if you download it, or how to build your own UI. And I'm not talking about coding, to be clear. When I say to build your own UI, I'm talking about pulling add-ons from, you know, your CurseForge, Elv UI, whatever the case may be, and integrating them. And that's what I do. I don't know how to code. I've never made an add-on before. But if we go in game real quick, you'll see that I use about 1 billion of them. I use 1 million different add-ons. I don't think I can expand this, can I? Curse you, add-ons that don't let me expand the window. But you can see here, I mean, I use so many different add-ons, right? Big wigs to your, you know, Death Notes, to your Exorcist raid tools, Elcano's buff bars, gotta go fast, method. I mean, again, just 1 million different add-ons. It's nuts, right? And then within those add-ons, as I've already showcased, are in, you know, mods and scripts and imports and this and that and the other. So, whew, knowing what an add-on does and how to get the most from that add-on is the only way you'll ever truly be able to benefit from the hard work that other players put in to make that add-on a success. We have a viewer here that says, don't have Brutal do a demo of a UI. We'll never get to another question. Does that pixel look off to you? Listen, I'm a big fan of pixel perfection. Everything's got to be exactly where it needs to be. Don't make fun of me. How dare you? Moving on to the next question. I think players rely on DBM and other add-ons a bit too much. Look at this. Who capitalized this H? My wife. Gonna have a stern talk with her. Oh, my son's trying to break in. Hi, son. Okay. Listen, this is a live stream. My son turns 3 next month. I guess he's up from his nap. He's running around the house like a madman. He may even come in. Who knows? Who cares? We're just having fun. I think players rely on DBM and other add-ons too much. They generally don't know what's going on throughout the dungeon. Interrupting specific NPCs is crucial to a group's success in most dungeons. So how do you encourage people to learn what's important instead of waiting for their UI to tell them what to do? This is a great question. Holy moly, man. This is a good question. Let's start with the first sentence. I think players rely on DBM and other add-ons too much. I agree and disagree. Oh man, so Deadly Boss Mods is what DBM is. Deadly Boss Mods has been around for years and years and years. I currently use Big Wigs, and Big Wigs is for raiding, and Little Wigs is for dungeons. I'm a big fan of Big Wigs and Little Wigs. But they essentially do the same thing, right? This person says that players rely on DBM and other add-ons too much, and I think what they're trying to say is, when it comes to your Big Wigs and your DBMs, they are literally telling you on your screen with visual and auditory cues, hey, this is about to happen. This boss is about to cast this spell. What are you gonna do about it? And And oftentimes we'll see players kind of, zone out or tune that information out because it's very generic, or they've heard it a million times before, or they think they know better, or whatever the case may be. They weren't paying attention. Their 3-year-old ran in and gotten distracted. And they'll play poorly because they're not in the moment. They're not paying attention. They think they can, get by without being invested in blah, blah, blah. And sometimes, an add-on will play the game for you. Sometimes an add-on can give you too much information. Information overload, paralysis by analysis. We've heard it all before. I think that it is a problem from time to time. I don't think it happens to every person or in every group or every raid or whatever the case may be. But if we take all of what I just said and we kind of, transpose it on top of the second sentence, they generally don't know what's going on throughout the dungeon, then it becomes even more true. And what that means to me is you have your DBMs, your weak auras, your whatevers that are saying, hey, this NPC is about to cast this. You should interrupt it. That's great. That's a starting point, right? When you're in, when you're in a King's Rest, as an example, and you've killed the first boss, you've killed the second boss, you're now clearing to the third boss, and that first pack of trash after the second boss, it's a berserker, and then what are they called? Hex priests or witch doctors or something. Hold on, let me pull it up in MDT here. This is actually a really good example. So let's go to King's Rest. Right here, this right here. So yep, spectral hex priest, spectral hex priest, and a spectral berserker. You pull this pack of 3. You know that these guys are casting hex. Hey, the NPCs are trying to CC me. It's a 10-second hex. You're out of commission unless you get decursed. Yeah, I should interrupt that. If you don't understand, and this is just one little example. If you don't understand that, if someone gets hexed, that's less damage being applied to the group or healing or whatever. But let's just use it damage. If I get hexed as a rogue, God forbid, my damage is now out of the equation for 10 seconds, assuming I don't get decursed. That means that the berserker, in addition to the other witch doctors, or hex priests, it means that they're alive for that much longer. What does that mean? Well, that means that berserker is leaping around, and he's doing his blooded leap, and he's applying his severing blade to more people. God forbid the tank gets one too many stacks. So now, because I wasn't paying attention and I didn't fully understand that I was supposed to interrupt something, or I didn't understand the significance of the interrupt, I've been CC'd, someone else has been CC'd, the tank is now dead because the berserker is leaping around too often, he's getting too many debuff stacks, etc., etc. That's just one example. And by the way, as ridiculous as that may sound, it's happened. I mean, heck, I can guarantee you there are a handful of people here that have wiped that trash pack. I guarantee. Because people were not paying attention and they didn't understand the significance of interrupting the hex or the whatever, or they were standing in the berserker's leap. It happens. I see it happen time and time again in dungeon runs. So I'm a big believer in add-ons. I'm a big fan of add-ons. I love add-ons. Do I think that you should be... do I think that you can be too dependent upon add-ons? Yes. Do I think that add-ons are a double-edged sword, as are most things in life? Yes. Too much of a good thing can be bad because then you become ignorant towards something. I think it's very important, again, especially when it comes to running with people regularly, your guild, your community, whoever. You need to motivate people. You need to encourage people. Hey, this is our route in the dungeon. These are the assignments for CC, your interrupts, your stuns, your knockbacks, whatever. And the tank, and again, I hate to lay so much at the tank's feet, but it's true. I'm going to tangent here for a minute. I hate to lay so much at the tank's feet, but it's true. What I'm about to say is true. There's a huge difference between a good tank and a great tank. A good tank will lead a group through a dungeon. They will take minimal damage. They will self-heal when appropriate. They'll turn mobs. They'll say, hey, they'll provide countdowns for bosses to allow people to pre-pot. All the usual typical things, right? A great tank, however, will coach. A great tank will explain. A great tank will educate. And I wish that I could say that I play my tank at that level. I certainly don't. I think that if I applied myself and played my tank exclusively, I could get better at him. But I have had tanks that I've run with that have been absolutely incredible, not just because they played their class and specialization and role incredibly, but because in the moment, well, actually, to go even farther, prior to the dungeon run, they provide an MDT route. They explain, hey, we're doing this in this room. We're CCing this NPC in this manner. We're bloodlusting at this location. We're shrouding at this location. So they're doing a good job prepping and explaining. And then in the moment, they don't just expect people to know and understand and remember every little detail. In the moment, let's use, here's a great example. Let's use Underrot. In the moment, let's say we're in the Underrot dungeon and we're on the first boss, Elder Liexa, or however you pronounce her name. She's the boss that casts frequently and spawns a clone of herself. A great tank, or even just a great leader of the group, it could be a DPS, a healer, whatever, will call for interrupts and will call for people to be aware of where that, what's that green ability called? The one on the ground? Creeping Rot, say, hey, Creeping Rot is out. Don't be in front of the boss. You know, BrutallStatic, interrupt add. Tank is, tank, I'm interrupting boss. Demon Hunter in the group, interrupt the add. Hunter in the group, interrupt the boss. BrutallStatic, your interrupt is now available again, interrupt the boss. Like, they're constantly looking for ways to help the group succeed. They're not just expecting everyone to know every little thing and to read, they're not expecting the DPS to read the tank and healer's mind. They're not expecting the healer to read the tank's mind. They're communicating. They're calling for interrupts. They're calling for, they're explaining positioning. They're calling for CCs. There is a huge difference between a good and a great tank, and it takes work and it takes time to get there. I'm not there. Are you there? Maybe. I would love to run with you if you are. Reach out to me, BrutallStatic-Thunderhorn. Let me know. But there is so much that goes into this question. Add-ons, dependency, management. I could spend a 2-hour workshop on this question alone. But let's move on because I think I've said enough. People should learn the Mythic Plus affixes on a deeper level, period. Emphasis. I agree. I see many groups who kill ads one at a time during bolstering week, so how do you tackle that issue? It's funny, all of these questions boil down to communication, right? Increased communication, better communication, Discord communication, whatever kind of a communication you want to emphasize and influence is fine, but it all boils down to communication. Oh god, bolstering. I hate that affix. Who doesn't? I don't know, maybe some weirdo out there likes it, but bolstering, I hate it. Yes, I have been in groups where, we pull a pack of 3 or 4 NPCs, and just so everyone knows what bolstering does, with the bolstering affix live, when an NPC dies, it bolsters the NPCs around them. So it gives them more HP, lets them hit harder physically, spellcast, whatever. And if you're not careful, you can bolster an NPC to a degree, to a level that they'll quite literally start one-shotting the group. Like, boom, tank's dead. Boop, healer's dead. Boop, rogue's dead. Just kidding, I vanished. Get wrecked, noobs. But it's just one of those things to where the only way to attack this issue, the only way to resolve and fix this issue is communication. If someone at this point in time, because hey, guess what? Bolster existed in Legion. If someone at this point in time doesn't understand how bolstering or bursting or whatever works, they're not paying enough attention, and they're not going to take the time out of their own busy lives to learn. So, no, the responsibility should not fall on you, and no, it's not fair to you, but a little communication and a little education can go a long way. I have had, I've run Keystones with people in the high teens and low 20s with incredibly accomplished people who are equivalent, if not higher than I am, in terms of rated.io score. I'm talking, people 24, 26, 28, 2900, whatever. And they'll just, we're in Discord, we're talking, we're having a good time, we're having fun. We run dungeons regularly. Maybe it's a Tuesday night and it's the first dungeon we've run that week. And we do that first poll in Shrine of the Storms. I showcased it earlier on the stream where you have the big guy and the 6 adds. Let me just get my facts straight here. You pull the Templar and you pull the 6 adds. God forbid you pull, you know, all 14 adds, 8 here, 6 here, Templar, and you go ham, you AoE, and you bolster this bad boy by 14 stacks. Oh, good luck. You know, it's just one of those things to where a little communication goes a long way. You could be in a group of incredibly experienced players who know what they're doing, and they just get caught up in conversation. They start, and we're having fun, and they don't realize what's happening. Remind them prior to the run. I can only use myself as an example. When I run with viewers or when I run with people during a bolstering week, and I know, let's say again, we're in Shrine, and even though you can pull, well, I don't know, in Season 3, I don't know if that's true. At least in Season 2, you could actually pull Wind Speaker Heldis's adds before you pulled her. Well, let's say that you, and I don't know if it's true in Season 3 or not, but let's say you pull all 5 of these NPCs at once. I don't care who I'm running with. I don't care if it's a Raider.io 3500 player. I will immediately speak up in Discord and say, hey, don't AoE. You're going to bolster Wind Speaker Heldis and we're going to be screwed. So a gentle reminder, a little communication goes a long, long way. It's not always easy. It's not always fun to do it that way. But ultimately, that's the only solution. If someone doesn't understand something, then it is what it is. As much as it stinks to have it fall on you, it is what it is. So, let's see. How many more questions have we had here? Hold on. Oftentimes, let me just check. I think this is our last question. My, how time has flown. Oftentimes, players approach Mythic Plus like a raid, assuming the other players in their assuming the other players in their group will offset their mistakes and misunderstandings. Woo! Sweet day in the morning. Yes, sirree, Bob. Let me read that again. Oftentimes, players approach Mythic Plus like a raid, assuming the other players in their group will offset their mistakes and misunderstandings. Can I get an amen? Can I? Good Lord Almighty. How do you explain to people that while raiding and Mythic Plus are both types of PvE content, they are vastly different? Holy cow. This is unbelievably true. Raiding and Mythic Plus are 2 entirely different types of content. They are 100%, well, 99% different from each other. Your Azerite gear could be different. Your necklace essences could be different. Talents are most likely different. Not in all cases. Heck, man. There's so many differences between raiding and Mythic Plus. And the basis of this question, or whatever you want to call it, is people expecting the other players in their group to deal with the mistakes they make, because that's often what we do in a raid setting. Not everyone, not in all instances, but it happens. When I'm in a Mythic Plus group and I see someone doing half of my damage, my first instinct, my first thought is, well, what the heck, man? Why am I carrying this? And by the way, I'm not talking about 5s or anything. I'm talking about your Mythic in Season 3. If I'm in a Mythic 15, okay, example time. I know, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I'm jumping all around. I'm sorry. I gotta go back to Toll to Gore. I was running a Toll to Gore just yesterday, and I had a Moonkin in my group who, on the last boss of the instance, died repeatedly. He was not using bear form to mitigate damage. He was not doing appropriate amounts of damage. He was being knocked back from the boss's, explosive, whatever it's called, ability. I'm not going to bother looking it up, whatever. When the boss puts the ring around you, oftentimes you'll get blown back, and then when you move on that boss fight, you accumulate venom, Heartstop venom, I think is what it's called. And if you hit 100 Heartstop venom, or 100% Heartstop venom, you get stunned for like 5 seconds. Oh! This Moonkin was screwing up left and right. And I don't think this Moonkin, to be clear, was assuming that I, as the rogue, and the other people in the group were going to make up and offset their mistakes. But it's so frustrating when you're in a keystone and someone's not performing to the standard that you've set, right? Granted, that was a pug. When you go into a pug, you kind of have to expect certain things like that, as painful as it is. But it's one of those things to where in a Mythic 15, when someone's doing just as much, if they're even doing as much damage as a tank, that's frustrating. So yeah, when players expect other people to offset their mistakes and misunderstandings, that's a terrible mindset. 100% wrong. Evil. Raiding and Mythic Plus are very different types of content, and if you're going into your Mythic Plus groups and your Mythic Plus runs without researching what you should be doing in a different environment, shame on you. Point blank. You are ruining other people's experiences. And sure, again, your Mythic 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s, it's not that big of a deal if you're running with friends and you're having fun, you're goofing off. Man, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to have fun. That's your own thing. It's very subjective. But in general, when you start hitting your 10s and 12s and 15s and whatnot, if you're still lagging behind, if you're not doing the damage that your class and specialization should be doing, or if you're not able to tank and heal what you should be able to tank and heal based on your item level or whatever, you need to go back to the drawing board. You have to. I mean, like, why are you degrading both your experience and the experience of people in your groups? I don't know. That's crazy to me. I know for me, I'm the kind of person to where, and granted, I've been playing MMOs for a long time, but if I'm going to jump into content and commit myself to it, then I'm going to do the homework to ensure that I'm not dragging a group down or causing issues. And again, you're not going to play flawlessly your first time in a Mythic Plus. If you've never run a plus 10 and you are only and you're just now about to experience a beguiling affix, you're not going to play perfectly. That's totally different from what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you learning and adapting and improving. I'm talking about people being lazy, or that rather this question is. I'm talking about people that don't care. And sometimes you just gotta, cut those people out of your runs. There have been people over the past, 3 years that Mythic Plus has existed. There are people that I love, and there are people that I enjoy, playing the game with and having fun with, but I don't want them in my Mythic Plus runs because they suck and they refuse to improve. Is that mean? No, I don't think it is. Hey, spoiler alert, people play this game on different levels. Hey, spoiler alert, some people don't care. And the solution to a problem that is not yours should not fall at your feet. It is not your responsibility to help, Timmy Two Shoes over here learn how to play his class. Now, granted, if it's your little brother or your dad or your wife or your whoever, then, take the time, encourage them, help them, guide them, assist them. That's a choice that you can make in the moment based on your relationship with the person. But if there's some random Joe Schmo over here, you don't need to run with him. If he or she has not understood the basics of Mythic Plus by this point in time, then help them in whatever way you want to help them, but don't feel obligated to run with them. You got more important things to do. You know what I mean? More important things to do. Guys, this has been so much fun. It has been 2 hours and 12 minutes of me running my mouth about Mythic Plus. I'm sure that I have been all over the place, and I've probably answered some questions to your liking, and some questions I have left you wondering, what the heck was he talking about? This is a great opportunity and a great moment. If you're listening to this on YouTube, jump down into the comments. Let me know how you liked the video. This was the very first Mythic Plus workshop. I don't think I spoke about this at the beginning of the workshop, but the intention of this was to lay a foundation and to kind of explain a general approach, general practices to the content. And moving forward, we're going to be going into dungeons. I should probably, I should probably, prior to the YouTube video, I should probably be like, blah, 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 for future videos, we'll actually be going to dungeons or something like that, because I know I wasn't actually in any dungeons in this workshop, and that was intentional. But for future dungeons or for future workshops, we'll be going to dungeons, and we'll be taking things unbelievably slowly, poll by poll, you know, NPC by NPC, boss mechanic by boss mechanic. We're going to make a series out of this bad boy to help people, you know, understand how you approach literally everything. And yes, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Every group composition will change things. Beguiling NPCs or the emissaries will change things. The actual level of the keystone changes things. Other affixes changes things. So it's going to be an ongoing effort, and I can't do it all in 1 week. But your guidance and your feedback and your perspective will go a long way in helping me kind of figure out where I want, or where you want, this series and these guides and whatnot, these workshops to go. For now, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here because I've run out of PowerPoint slides, and my throat hurts, and I'm getting the dry mouth. And it's been a lot of fun. It genuinely has. It's been so much fun for me. I appreciate you guys letting me run off with these topics for a while. Thank you so much. I'm not ending the stream, but for YouTube, comment. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. It's 2019. YouTube's been out for a few years now. Do what you want to do with the video. I love you guys. Live well, be well, do well. My name's Brutal. Come back for the next workshop live. We'll do more interaction stuff next time. But for YouTube, I'm out of here. Twitch, don't go anywhere. I love you.